Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down my overvalued Dynasty Fantasy Football players list. Inside today's video, I'll be going in depth into 4 different players that I believe right now to be overvalued based upon where they are going in drafts and based upon their trade value. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask, if you are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, to please make sure that you do hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my overvalued player list for Dynasty Fantasy Football in 2022. We begin with Elijah Moore, wide receiver of the New York Football Jets, over on Keep Trade Cut. He is listed as their wide receiver number 16, and I personally believe that the rankings on Keep Trade Cut are pretty accurate to how drafts would be going right now. And if Elijah Moore is coming off the board as a top 20 wide receiver number 16, I believe that that is way too high of a price to be paying for Elijah Moore. In 2021, in his rookie campaign, he played in 11 games, was the wide receiver 48.5 PPR, and the wide receiver number 31 in terms of half PPR points per game, having 77 targets, 7.0 per game, ranking 49th at wide receiver, 43 receptions, 3.9 per game, ranking 58th at wide receiver, 538 receiving yards, 48.9 per game, ranking 61st at wide receiver, and 6 total touchdowns, ranking 20th at wide receiver. Now, as you guys are watching this video, yesterday, the Jets ended up bringing in tight end CJ Uzomah from the Cincinnati Bengals. So that is yet another target, in my opinion, another player on the team that Elijah Moore is going to be fighting for targets from. I understand that Elijah Moore could definitely be the wide receiver number 1 on the New York Football Jets going forward with Zach Wilson, but there is certainly competition around Elijah Moore, and I am just not sure that this team is ever going to have a set-in-stone wide receiver 1. It seems like they're going to be looking to utilize a lot of players on the field, and there's never going to be that true locked and loaded number 1 wide receiver like there is on some other teams. If you think, oh, the Raiders, who's their wide receiver 1? It's Hunter Renfrow. Oh, the Dolphins, who's their wide receiver 1? It's Jalen Waddle. The 49ers, it's Deebo Samuel. You can go across a list of a bunch of teams, and you know exactly who their number 1 wide receiver is. In my opinion, in New York with the Jets, I just don't feel as though Elijah Moore is the locked and loaded wide receiver 1 that he is currently being drafted at, because if he is not the number 1 target on this team in 2021, or 2022, I should say, and beyond, then you are completely overvaluing Elijah Moore at Keep Trade Cut wide receiver number 16. And the biggest reason why I bring this up is because they still have Corey Davis on the books through at least 2023, where they have a potential out on him. I'm not saying that Corey Davis is vintage Julio Jones or something crazy like that, but what I'm saying is there is going to be competition in the Jets wide receiver room. It is also entirely possible that they end up drafting another wide receiver because Denzel Mims did not end up working out at all. Maybe Denzel Mims has this crazy breakout 3rd season. I highly doubt it, but I just don't feel as though Elijah Moore is worth right now the wide receiver number 16 value that is being put on him. So if I have Elijah Moore, and it seems like the league is looking to, if I've already drafted, if I've been in a Dynasty League for a year, or maybe I drafted Elijah Moore and people are clamoring for Elijah Moore, go ahead and trade him away, because I just don't think he will ever return that wide receiver number 16 value. Next up, we move to a very popular player, Run CMC, Christian McCaffrey, running back of the Carolina Panthers, Keep Trade Cuts running back number 5. In 2021, he played in 7 games, was the running back number 39 in half PPR, and the running back number 8 in half PPR points per game. He had 99 carries, 14.1 per game, 442 rushing yards, 63.1 per game, 41 targets, 5.9 per game, 37 receptions, 5.3 per game, 343 receiving yards, 49 per game, and 2 total touchdowns, number 61 at the running back position. And I know what you're thinking, but Nick, he got hurt, but Nick this, but Nick that. Nick, you understand that if he's healthy, he's one of the best running backs in the NFL, if not the best running back in the NFL, and I completely fucking agree with that statement. Christian McCaffrey, when healthy, is basically an unstoppable force in the NFL and in fantasy football. This guy is the perfect build for a fantasy football running back that can put the whole team, your whole entire team, could shit the bed, and this guy can whip out 30 plus points like it is nothing. So I understand the inherent value that a healthy Christian McCaffrey has. And I'm not a doctor. I'm as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins. But at the end of the day, with how much time Christian McCaffrey has missed in the last 2 years, unless they begin to limit him down, they begin to lower the touches, lower the targets, lower all that, nothing is going to change. It just seems like the guy is going to continue to keep getting hurt every single year, because the issue is they bring him back and then they insert him in there without using lube, metaphorically, right? They just throw him on in there and it's not ready to go. He's not fully healthy, and they're putting him in there getting a million touches every single game, and then the guy gets hurt again, and the staff is like, oh, what happened? How did he get hurt? You want to know how he got hurt? Because you keep fucking jamming him in there without him being correctly ready. And he keeps getting hurt. He keeps on getting hurt, and I don't know if I would want to hold Christian McCaffrey. Now, again, I understand the value. I understand that he could be, in 2022, he could be the running back one in fantasy football. That would not surprise me at all. But he could also be banged up for half the season again, and you're pissed off that you got him. But Nick, maybe Deshaun Watson shows up to Carolina. Maybe that's true, and all things are fine and dandy when he's healthy. But there is still big injury concerns when it comes to Christian McCaffrey. So if I'm being honest with you guys right now, I don't want anything to do with Christian McCaffrey, where we're sitting right now in March. But before we get on in to my next overvalued dynasty player, I'd like to let you guys know the sponsor of today's video, and that is Underdog, and they are known for their NFL best ball tournaments. However, Underdog doesn't stop there. Underdog has plenty of other contests that you guys can compete in, including live draft contests and pick'ems, which you guys can make up to 20 times your entry. Use promo code Awesemo. It's also on the screen right below me right here. I'm going to point to it. Promo code Awesemo to get a first match deposit bonus up to $100. Please make sure that you guys get started on Underdog Fantasy today. Promo code Awesemo for a deposit bonus of up to $100. So my next player that I believe to be overvalued in Dynasty Fantasy Football is Mystic Mac Jones, quarterback of the New England Deflatriots, the Patriots keep trade cut quarterback number 15. In 2021, he played in all 17 games because they cut Cam Newton, quarterback number 18, quarterback number 29 in points per game. That's not very good. There's a big reason why I bring up the half PPR points per game stat, the points per game stat in all of these videos. Obviously, for a quarterback, half point PPR doesn't fucking matter unless Mac Jones was just catching 25 passes on a season, then maybe he gets like a slight uptick, right? But that's not happening. So the reason why I bring that up is because while he finished as quarterback 18 on the season, which isn't even that good, that's not impressive at all, he was quarterback 29 in points per game because the quarterbacks that he likely passed up on a season finish at quarterback 18 were hurt at points of the season. And because he played 17 games, he was able to get up there. But on a points per game basis, he was only quarterback 29. So he had a pretty shitty season. 521 passing attempts, 30.6 per game, 14th at quarterback, 3,802 passing yards, 223.6 per game, 13th at quarterback, 22 passing touchdowns, 4.2% rate. Typically for a quarterback, that number is going to be around 5%. So maybe he actually throws more passing touchdowns next year. Number 14 at quarterback, 13 interceptions, 44 carries, 18th at quarterback for 129 yards, 24th at quarterback. Now, the thing with Mac Jones is that there is just nothing exciting about Mac Jones. I understand if you're in a 2-quarterback league, you got Mac Jones on your team, he's your quarterback too, then I guess technically you are all fine and dandy. But the problem with Mac Jones is that he is never going to be a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football unless magically, with the new offensive coordinator instilled there, Bill Belichick magically turns Mac Jones into a quarterback, because he's never going to fucking run the ball. He's never going to be like Kyler Murray, like Lamar Jackson, like Josh Allen, like even Patrick Mahomes, who has just an ounce of rushing upside. Mac Jones does not have that rushing upside. He just doesn't. And that's a huge issue in terms of fantasy football, because in real life, if I'm a GM, I don't give 2 fucks if my quarterback can run or not, right? I just want to make sure that the guy can throw the ball, move the ball up the field so that we can win games. But in terms of fantasy football, there's this thing called the Konami quarterback rule, which is that fantasy quarterbacks are just inherently way better if they can run the ball, because when you pass a touchdown in a lot of leagues, that's 4 points. You rush one in, that's 6 points. when you rush the ball 10 yards, you get 1 point, but you have to throw the ball 25 yards to get 1 point. So these rushing quarterbacks are just a cheat code in fantasy football, which is why they call them Konami code quarterbacks. Mac Jones will never be that. Mac Jones, in my opinion, is never going to be a quarterback that throws 35, 40 fucking touchdowns and carries you. He is a quarterback that is a game manager. Now, again, these are terms that might sound bad for Mac Jones. Like, Mac Jones is a terrible quarterback. I don't think Mac Jones is a terrible quarterback. I'm just saying that in terms of fantasy football, I just don't think Mac Jones has the it factor to ever even be a top 8 quarterback unless a bunch of people get hurt and he plays all 17 games. So again, I'm not trying to insult Mac Jones. He's a fine NFL quarterback, but for fantasy football purposes, he's just not it. Final player to discuss in today's video. Let me know down below in the comment section if you have any overvalued dynasty players that I didn't talk about. Chase Claypool, wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, keep trade cut wide receiver number 32. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, yesterday as you're watching this, bring in Kiss and Titties Mitchell Trubisky on a 2-year deal, so 2 years, to be the quarterback of the team. Now, I understand there's definitely speculation. Nick, they could bring in Mitch Trubisky, but also draft Malik Willis. They could draft Sam Howell. They can draft X-quarterback. Or they can draft X-quarterback in 2023, and that's cool. Maybe not in 2022, but in 2023. But I'm not even here to dog Mitch Trubisky, because I actually think Mitch Trubisky will be a perfectly fine quarterback. And what was really holding him down was not necessarily the fact that he's just garbage or something. It was the fact that Matt Nagy's a bit of an idiot. So I think realistically, he's going to be a fine quarterback, but the issue with Chase Claypool is that the hope was, oh, he'll be the wide receiver 1 on the team when he's a rookie. He'll eventually fill into that role. No, Deontay Johnson is that guy. They bring in Najee Harris, who is going to be seeing 7 zillion targets every single season, which sucks for Claypool, obviously. And Trubisky is not going to be some quarterback that doesn't dump off to the running back, right? He's done it before in his career. So he's going to dump off to the running back. They have now a good tight end in Pat Freiermuth. I just don't think Chase Claypool's situation is ever really going to elevate to where he becomes a top 24 wide receiver. And when I'm taking a wide receiver that is wide receiver 32, I'm expecting that he might have that upside to be a top 24 wide receiver in fantasy football. Now, of course, this is anticipating that Mitch Trubisky doesn't become this terrific quarterback. Because if he does become this terrific quarterback, maybe Chase Claypool can be that, but that's not my assumption. He was wide receiver number 37.5 PPR last year, playing in 15 games. Wide receiver number 39.5 PPR points per game, 105 targets, 7.0 per game, 30th at wide receiver, 59 receptions, 3.9 per game, ranking 37th at wide receiver, 860 receiving yards, 57.3 per game, 31st at wide receiver, and 2 total touchdowns, number 79 at the wide receiver position. So again, Chase Claypool is not some pushover. He's not this terrible wide receiver, but at wide receiver number 32, I am hunting for something that has top 24 wide receiver value, something that could be a top 12 wide receiver, and that is just not what I see in the future for Chase Claypool. Juju Smith-Schuster may be gone, so hey, now he's the locked and loaded wide receiver 2. But unless Mitch Trubisky really does become really good, or maybe unless they draft Malik Willis, one of these other quarterbacks, and they take that next leap up and they just love throwing it to Chase Claypool, then if I'm being honest with you, and I don't see that to be super probable, so that's why I'm kind of off of Chase Claypool. I just don't really think he ever has it in him to be that top 12, top 16, top 18 wide receiver in fantasy football. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. If you did end up enjoying, please make sure to hit that like button as well as that subscribe button down below. If you disagreed with me, that's okay. That's okay. Everyone's opinion can change. And in Dynasty, I could be completely right next year, right? Elijah Moore sucks maybe next year. Christian McCaffrey sucks. Mac Jones sucks. Claypool sucks. And then 3 years from now, Elijah Moore is the wide receiver 1 and Chase Claypool is the wide receiver 2 in fantasy football. And you look back, you're like, Nick, you're a fucking idiot. Because things change very quickly in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Things can change on a year-to-year basis, but right now, my list of overvalued Dynasty Fantasy Football players is, again, Elijah Moore, Christian McCaffrey, Mystic Mac Jones, and Chase Claypool, Mapletron. So thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. Again, if you did end up enjoying, make sure to hit that subscribe button, make sure to hit that like button, and make sure if you enjoyed me, myself, and I, follow me on Twitter, @Notorious, FNTSY, and again, check out Underdog, promo code Awesemo. Again, promo code Awesemo, right here. Make sure you do that. Get a deposit bonus of up to $100 if you are new to the website. I love you guys all so much. Have a great guys' day. And as always, goodbye.